6 o'clock, and we will begin with the prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll move into the agenda and business at hand. So, Mr. Stoffer, would you mind doing the prayer for us? If you'll all join us by standing.
Let's pray. Lord, we do thank you for many blessings. We thank you, Lord, for all that you do for this city, this county. We just pray that you would continue to shine upon us. Lord, we think about those that got hit hard by the hurricane, and the hurricane that is moving in upon the shore here very soon. We just pray for each one in those paths that, Lord, that you would just help each one to look up to thee for help and guidance and safety and security. Lord, help us to all be involved in the recovery efforts through prayer and action. And Lord, pray now for this meeting tonight that you would have your will and way in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let me do a quick roll call. Mr. Schatzel.
Here.
Miss Alley.
Here.
Mr. Najumian.
Here.
Mr. Donahue.
Here.
And Mr. Stoffer.
Here.
All right, let the record reflect. With that, let's move into our agenda for the evening. Dan, what's the first business?
Mayor, I'm going to be taking it tonight. So,
Oh, man, all right.
Mayor and council, it's good to be with you again. So, we had a regular council meeting on September 10th, 2024, a special council meeting on September 19th, 2024, a planning commission meeting on October 1st, 2024, and there was no local planning agency meeting held.
So, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion by the council? Mr. Najumi, I'm assuming you heard, you have no comments?
I have no comments, thank you.
All right. Mr. Najumi, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
Yes.
And Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
All righty. Let's move. Who made the motion? The motion was made by, did I forget to do that?
No, you did.
I just didn't hear it.
Who made the second? He made the motion.
Okay, Donahue with the motion and Schatzel with the second. You scared me there for a second because I have been known to do that.
No, you did, I just didn't hear it.
All right. All right, with that said then, let me move into a quick item here. It's a proclamation. Yes, I get to read these proclamations. Yes, sir. Okay, do we have any IT representatives here? If we do, please come forward. Come on, IT.
Jesse and Bobby, that's you.
Two of our finest. There's many times I have to bring my computer in and let Jess figure out what's wrong, and he usually takes good care of it. So, this is a proclamation recognizing October as Cyber Security Awareness Month. Now, please don't let my initial facial expressions think that I am downplaying this, because this is very serious stuff, and most of you know that. If you've ever had your bank account compromised, or if you ever had anything stolen, etc., via the internet, you know how serious this can be. So, again, we're going to recognize October as Cybersecurity Awareness Month, whereas the City of Niceville recognizes the importance of cybersecurity and safeguarding the information systems and infrastructure that are vital to the operations of the city and protection of its citizens. And whereas the theme of Cybersecurity Awareness Month serves as a timely reminder to organizations and individuals to remain vigilant in their efforts to ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of digital information, and whereas cyber threats continue to grow in sophistication, posing risk to public and private institutions, critical infrastructure, and personal data, making the need for awareness and proactive action more crucial than ever. And whereas the City of Niceville is committed to enhancing cybersecurity practices, promoting the importance of secure online behavior, and fostering a culture of cybersecurity resilience across the community, and whereas the National Cybersecurity Alliance and the U.S. Department of Homeland Security have declared October as National Cybersecurity Awareness Month to engage and educate the public on how to stay safe online, and whereas the City of Niceville encourages all residents, businesses, and government organizations to participate in activities that promote cybersecurity awareness and to implement best practices in their daily use of technologies. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Niceville do hereby proclaim October as Cybersecurity Awareness Month in the City of Niceville and urges all citizens, employees, and organizations to take proactive measures to protect their information and assets, remaining informed of evolving cyber threats and support efforts that strengthen the city's cybersecurity infrastructure. Now, therefore, I, Daniel Hinkle, Mayor of the City of Niceville, do recognize the week May 5th through the 11th. Oh, we made a mistake. October 5 through 11, 2024 as professional municipal clerks, and further extend appreciation to our professional municipal clerk. Whoa, where'd that come from? Uh-oh. No worries. So we have the thought of cybersecurity.
We know what you mean.
We know what, you know what I mean, and of course you saw I read just as it's printed. But again, seriously folks, cybersecurity is no joke. And if you've ever been scammed or if you've seen how they're very sophisticated, they will take you in a heartbeat. So please be very aware. And to you guys, thank you for all you do every day. Okay, let's move down to ordinance 241101.
All right, an ordinance adopting the amended final budget changes for the City of Niceville for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2023, and an ordinance adopting and approving the appropriations set forth in said budget for fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2023, and providing for an effective date. Council, what this is a budget amendment to the fiscal year 2024 budget. I'll walk through the lines real quickly. That top line, 640, that is the fire department surtax revision that I'm requesting approval of. The adopted fiscal year 2024 budget had $123,500 approved in the budget. I'm asking for a revision of $678,140. This is because that $678,140 is for the fire truck that we received, what was it, 8 or 10 months ago. It was in the fiscal year 2023 budget. It was ordered. We had the money set aside, but did not get the fire truck until after the change of the fiscal year into fiscal year 2024. And so that's the revised change on line 640. On line 640.01, the council had approved in a different spot in the budget the purchase of vehicles. That $90,250 is for the 2 code compliance vehicles that we've already purchased and our code compliance officers are currently operating. And so I'm requesting that we move the $90,250 out of the line item that was and into the surtax fund. And then the final one is the street surtax. The adopted budget had $2.5 million into the street resurfacing project. To date, we've spent less than what is listed there, but I'm recommending revision down to $768,390 because that should cover all of our street resurfacing projects in fiscal year 24, thus reducing the adopted budget for that line item to $1,731,610. And so the overall budget total amount will not change. For those 3 line items, it will continue to be $2,623,500. Just again a revision down and then moving some money around within the surtax fund. So I am seeking your approval of this proposed budget amendment.
So So again, just to make sure I understand correctly, it's for the FY '24 budget.
Correct, fiscal year '24, not '25.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, second by Mr. Stoffer. The motion was made by Ms. Alley. Discussion by the council. Mr. Najumian, anything?
Nothing to add, thank you.
All right. Does anybody in the audience want to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none. All right, Mr. Najumian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Stopper?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Ms. Alley?
Yes.
And Mr. Schatzle?
Yes.
All right, let's move down to ordinance 24-1102.
An ordinance amending ordinance 18-08-01, providing for awarding of contracts for purchase of commodities and services by invitation to bid, request for proposals, or other method deemed appropriate by the city council, and other matters related thereto, providing for increasing the minimum and maximum dollar amounts for awarding contracts by the city manager, and providing for authority. Therefore, providing for definitions, providing for repeal of conflicting provisions, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Council, what this is I'm asking you to amend ordinance 18-0801, increasing the spending limit I have in order to more efficiently operate the city. And to speak to this ordinance proposal, I'm going to bring up James Walters, our new purchasing director. One, to introduce him to all of you. He's been with the team since July. But also to have him explain a little bit more in detail what this proposed change is about. James has been with us, like I said, since July, and has just been doing really great things, increasing the efficiencies of our programs, saving us tens of thousands of dollars already. He's probably saved more money than I'm going to save the city more money than I'm going to pay him this year. So he's worth his weight in gold. And this is one of his proposals, and I agree with, to increase the efficiencies of the operations of the city.
Mr. Walters, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, and thank you, Mr. Deitch. I want to give you just a brief overview, and then if you have any questions about the ask, then please by all means. But there's really four things that are primarily driving this, and the first is efficiency and reduced administrative burden. Increasing the authority for the formal solicitations. It allows the more complex and formal bidding processes to be applied to the more complex solicitations. For example, large buildings, property development, and things of that nature. The adjustment would streamline procurement processes and allow more purchases to be simplified. For example, we could use informal quotes and proposals and requests for bids much quicker, and usually a 2 to 3 day turnaround as opposed to a formal solicitation at a minimum, which would be 30 days typically. If you have a review committee and an evaluation committee after the closure, then you have another 2 to 3 weeks and then the remaining month to come back to the council for the approval. So taking up to 90 days down to 3 or 4 days is one of the efficiencies. Alignment with current market conditions. One of the things that we looked at, since 2018, inflation has significantly impacted prices. Formal solicitation where the amounts have changed. We benchmarked, or I benchmarked with other counties and municipalities as well, and increased this 2 years ago in Waltham County to $100,000, and it's worked really well. We've been able to buy tractors and fence and roof repair and jobs like that are under $100,000 in just a couple of days quoting or bidding as opposed to doing formal solicitations, and we've been able to get that work done much quicker and more efficiently. Cost savings in administration, obviously the staff productivity. We would be simplifying the procurement transactions for the smaller amounts to allow staff to focus on more strategic and high dollar procurements. For example, strategic master service agreements, MSAs we call them. So I'd like to build relationships with companies out there and actually, for example, Amazon Prime Business, and set up the city of Niceville with a master service agreement with Amazon Prime, for example. We could set that up. Blanket purchase orders and open POs. We could work on more strategies to develop those with local vendors. For example, I talked to Mr. Deitch about O'Reilly's, a local vendor here that Todd is a manager of the store. We were bringing him 3, 4, 5 POs a day, and each one of those requisitions and POs required approval and administrative processes, and we talked with him about setting up a blanket PO. So that's kind of a strategic procurement initiative that we can do more of when we're doing fewer formal solicitations for smaller bid amounts. And then finally, I think maintaining accountability and transparency. We want to keep checks and balances, and even with the increased thresholds, procurement processes would still ensure accountability and fairness and transparency. So in summary, the change would help modernize the city's procurement process, reduce unnecessary administrative overhead, allow quicker response to operational needs, and ultimately save the city time and money.
Questions for Mr. Walters? Mr. Schatzel?
Okay, Mr. James,
Yes.
probably two questions. If you look at the purchase orders that we as a city get, percentage-wise now, would you say 50% of them are below 100,000, or 75% are below 100,000, or 90% are below 100,000?
There are a significant number of purchase orders. I can give you an idea for fiscal year '24, which we've just wrapped up. We had 1,811 purchase orders for the fiscal year. That total dollar amount was $8.9 million. Those were requisitions and purchase orders, not formal solicitations. So in the formal solicitations and the approval thresholds, we would be seeking or asking for the increased authority for the formal solicitations to $100,000, so that there would be fewer formal solicitations over the current $25,000. The formal solicitation being the lengthy, long process to develop. The purchase orders, 1,811 purchase orders last fiscal year. I would say, just from looking at the report that I have, I would say 75% of them are probably less than $100,000.
Hey, Councilman Schatzel, I'm going to interrupt. Mayor, we don't have a motion or a second on this.
Yeah, we did. Well, by golly, then let's make that motion. All right, do I have a motion on?
Any other questions? I'd be happy to.
Hold on. Let us get the motion first. Ordinance 241102. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And second. Discussion? Now we can ask questions.
Thank you, sir.
So, going back a year or longer, before your predecessor, Chad,
Yes, sir.
he was also authorized to sign purchase orders.
Yes, sir.
And the question I have, not only Mr. Deitch for contracts, but you also for purchase orders. Are you still having the authority to sign purchase orders?
Yes, sir. I have delegated authority as Mr. Deitch has granted that to me.
And that limit is 50,000? Or, I think we revised it upwards some years ago for Chad, for purchase orders.
Under another action, council action possibly?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
although I would have to go back and research it. I'm just curious if you still have authority.
Yes, sir, I do.
Purchase orders.
As Mr. Deitch has written that authorization letter to me. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Other questions?
So I'm a little confused by the ordinance. So this is raising it to what?
It's raising it from 25,000 to 100,000
And does that say that in here?
frequently.
I guess I missed it.
It's in the detail back in the
Oh,
back
okay,
further.
sorry, missed it.
Yes, ma'am, and that threshold currently from 2018 was raised to $25,000, and our ask is that we increase it and adjust it to the market conditions and streamline the procurements for formal solicitations.
Others? Go ahead.
So on separation of duties, you would approve the purchase order, the accounting is Wendy? Or who does the accounting and who does all the, I know we're gonna get audited. Who does
The
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 separate?
finance department does all the accounting and the finance piece.
All right, so then that's your double check.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And it starts, of course, internally with reviewing. So when requisitions, or in this case, a formal solicitation for, let's say, a $300,000 road project, The scope of work is reviewed by me and the department, and our engineer of record extensively reviewed. We have intake meetings. We lay out all of the terms and conditions of the solicitation, and everything is reviewed even before it goes out on the street. If it's a budgeted item, my understanding is that Mr. Deitch has the authority to move forward with that. And also my understanding would be if it's not a budgeted item, that ask would come to the city council for approval.
Right. And so, council, again, this is really an efficiency thing, because again, if a public works truck got destroyed in a wreck, and it wasn't in the budget, I'd have to come back to you to buy a vehicle. And of course, you're not going to say no, right? And so this is just a way to increase the efficiencies of operations, reduce the workload on the purchasing team and the finance team. Because again, as James said, we get a lot of purchase orders, and this will reduce the amount of workload on the team while increasing the efficiencies. We are still going to do competitive bidding, and that we're in cooperative agreements, GSA and that sort of thing. So we will do our due diligence to ensure we get the absolute lowest best price through these competitive bidding agreements. So we're not just going to go out and buy willy-nilly whatever we want. Much like I've demonstrated in the last 15 months, I'm here to save money, save the residents money, because I hate paying taxes, and as a resident, I don't want to pay taxes. And so we're going to do everything as financially, fiscally responsible as possible, and certainly legal. We still have to comply with the state requirements on bidding certain things out, and that's laid down in this ordinance. But again, this isn't part of the increase in day-to-day efficiencies that will help James, help the finance team, help with auditing, et cetera, et cetera.
Any other questions? Sal, do you have any questions?
No, David hit exactly what I was going to reinforce. As long as the process ensures that we're good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars up for it. So thank you for preempting my question.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none. Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer?
Yes.
And Mr. Najumian?
Yes.
All righty. Let's move down to ordinance 24-1103.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council.
You're welcome.
An ordinance of the City of Massapequa, Florida, amending Part 2, Appendix D, Land Development Code, Article 7, the Code of Ordinances of Massapequa, Florida, approving amendment to the official zoning map of the Land Development Code as depicted on the attached map, providing for amendments to the comprehensive plan, future land use element, future land use map as depicted on the attached map, repealing all ordinances in conflict therewith or herewith, providing for severability and conflicts, providing for scrivener's errors, providing for modifications, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date. And I will invite Kristen up to
But
speak.
before you do,
Yep.
do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Mr. Schatzel. With that, Mr. City Manager, who would you like to come forward?
I'll invite Kristen to the podium.
All righty.
To this one.
Council, Mr. Mayor, there was a staff analysis for this amendment that somehow did not make it in your packet, even though it was there when I checked a few days ago. I don't know what happened to it. This is a rezoning request for a property that's shown on the map. They're requesting to go from single-family residential R1 to single or multifamily residential R1B. The property is approximately 0.27 acres. I did receive a letter of objection to this rezoning request today. Unfortunately, it was received late today to make it to your packets, but that individual may be here to speak. The Planning Commission recommended approval of this rezoning request unanimously at their last meeting, October 1st. If there's any questions about notice, all the notice was accomplished, the sign was posted, the ad was correct, so we're ready to go. We will, this would be the final, we'll have another public hearing on this item because it was incorrectly advertised to begin with, and it requires a future land use map map amendment, so we're gonna have to have that second public hearing in November. So this is not the final action.
So, let me make sure I fully understand. This is a rezoning request?
Yes, sir.
That's correct.
Okay. We have a motion already and a second. You've heard questions by the council. Any questions at all?
I've got a question.
Stand by. I hear none. Mr. Najumi, do you have any questions?
No, Mr. Mayor, I do not.
Okay. Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Name's Tom Stone.
Went into the mic so that we're captured on recording.
Name's Tom Stone. And the property in question.
What's your address?
Address is 714 Cypress Drive,
Okay, thank you.
Niceville. And I didn't see it on the agenda, so I don't know if this is the property that she just was talking about. But this property is located at 714 Cypress Drive, and I had requested a rezoning from R1 to R1B. So I'm wondering if that's the property that we're talking about. That's the same property?
Yes.
Okay. So do I need to do anything else on that?
The council may have questions for you about your intent with the rezoning, and that's up to them.
Could I ask you to come forward and address your question again, and please respond to the mic so everybody can hear?
So I guess my question was, I didn't know what parcels that she
Into the
was
mic.
talking about. I didn't know what parcels she was talking
Okay.
about. So it looks like it's the same parcel. Wasn't on the agenda, so that's why I'm asking. So,
It's on the agenda, just the parcel's not on, the address isn't on the agenda, but the item is on the agenda. It's just the ordinance title is on the agenda, so that's normally how that goes, yeah. And he asked me if he needed to do anything else, and I said, just if the council has questions.
So, obviously, he's the requester, and Mr. Stockford.
So what is the purpose of the rezoning?
right, I have a parcel right now, and the parcel is 115 feet wide. I have a house on property, it's on lot 22 there. And what I'd like to do is split that parcel. On the left side of the property, it's 50 feet wide by 100 feet deep. And that would basically fit within the guidelines of the R1B guidelines to put a property there, another house there. That's what I'm trying to do.
Any other questions?
And the other thing that I just wanted to add also is you do a property search there, and this is not by exception here because there's several houses on that same street that are zoned as R1B.
No questions by the council? Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Is the person that wrote the letter today here? Or is the person that wrote the letter here, or what did the letter say? Oh, there's somebody in the back.
So you said you had a letter that was objecting? Is that correct?
Let me, I believe, and I'm sorry about this, but late this afternoon, Angela sent me a letter in objection, and the objection was basically to the rezoning and the increase in units. And it was explained to the objector that we thought the applicant's intent was to just get another unit there, so that's about all I can offer. I had hoped they would be here tonight. But this will come back to you in November, and when it does, you'll have that letter in your packet.
Okay. This is the first read.
That's correct.
All right.
Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So what we're doing here is rezoning just that one property, that the gentleman.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions? Mr. Najumian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Stopper,
Yes.
Mr. Donahue,
Yes.
Ms. Alley,
Yes.
and Mr. Schatzel.
Yes.
All right, let's move down to, looking at the page here, ordinance 241104.
An ordinance of the City of Niceville, Florida, amending Part 2, the Code of Ordinance of Niceville, Florida, Appendix D, Article 3, and Article 7, as such pertains to accessory dwelling units, providing for accessory dwelling units and providing design standards for accessory dwelling units in residential areas, and providing for enforceability, severability, conflicts, codifications, and an effective date.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. Discussion by the council. Do you have anybody that wants to address this issue?
No. Again, there was a staff memorandum that went along with it explaining the ordinance. This ordinance just adds some design standards to our accessory dwelling unit provisions in our code. We already allow accessory dwelling units in residential areas. These are like mother-in-law suites, granny flats, whatever you want to call them. But we had sort of a large size allowance, and we didn't really have any standards for those to be subordinate to the primary residence. And this just basically cleans that up, clarifies that they are allowed, and provides those necessary design standards to ensure that they're compatible with the neighborhood that they are going into. And I'm sorry you don't have that memorandum.
And council, in addition to the design standards, we edited the ordinance to make sure it was compliant with Florida statute. It wasn't at the time, so now it is.
Thank you for that information. Any questions for Ms. Shell? Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none, Mr. Schatzel,
Yes.
Ms. Alley,
Yes.
Mr. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Stopper,
Yes.
and Mr. Najumian.
Yes.
All right, let's move down to resolution 241001.
A resolution granting a variance to section 7-58C2 of the Niceville Code of Ordinances to allow for a variance of the requirement for utilization of a B-zone building foundation for Lot 21 at the Cove at Sharks Bay Phase 2 subdivision, and providing for an effective date.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Alley. Discussion by the council. Do we have anybody who wants to address this issue?
Hey, Dan, I just have a quick comment. I just want to thank Kristen for putting together the packet of facts that were necessary to understand this particular request. So my sincere appreciation for putting that in terms that we can all understand. Thank you.
That's awesome, and I concur. Well done.
Well, council, if you have questions, the property owner, the builder, the engineer, and of course Kristen is all here to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have them here present besides Kristen?
Yes, sir. They're all here.
Okay, well, let's have, yes, come on, Tim, come on up here and tell us your name and address for the record.
Tim McCool, 2181 Chase Drive, Niceville, Florida. So we own the lot at 21, the lot 21 there, 725 Patmore Lane. So with the building, we had the architect work done, and when it was finally submitted to the city, it wasn't on the survey, but it came back that we would have to build the house on pilings. And so there was a lot of work done. It went to the Planning Commission, I believe, last week. The current plan is to build it to FEMA standards and to the state of Florida. Niceville passed an ordinance, I guess, sometime in 2018 or 2016 that made the building on the water in these type of environments more restrictive than both the state of Florida and FEMA. So right now we're asking for a variance to build it on a stem wall. The original dirt that's there that has been there for decades and or centuries. So stem wall will go all the way down. We don't really want to build it on pilings in the neighborhood there. If you drive into that neighborhood, there's no houses on the property in that subdivision that are on pilings. Right now it's going to be a foot above the 1 foot is the AE requirement above the AE flood zone A. I believe for the state of Florida we're going to build it 2 feet above, which puts it about 12 feet above zero water line, sea level. That's what we're asking for the variance to do. I believe there was one person here last week, they were worried about, they didn't understand, they lived on the road that ties into Padport Lane, and they were worried about more flooding on their property, and was explaining to them that actually a house on pilings would probably provide more opportunity for flooding of their property than something with a stem wall as well. It was voted 4-1 approved from the planning commission. There was discussion about it being precedent setting, so I stood up and said I'd come to all the city council meetings, and every situation like this is evaluated on a case-by-case basis, whether it be a dock on Dana Point, or whether it be speed bumps on Bay Shore Drive, or whether it be this here. Everything on a monthly basis is variances that are approved, whether it be a lot back, a setback, et cetera. So this is no different than that. And then there was another impression that maybe the property owner was being irresponsible. They asked to do this, and I, as the property owner, don't feel that at all. I believe the architect and the builder and our engineer have done due diligence, and Kristen can speak to that as well.
Anything else you want to say?
Nope.
Anybody from the council have a question for Mr. McCool?
Is this going to be a one-story, two-story?
Speak into the mic, please.
One-story, two-story?
It's going to be a really, really nice house. 1 story on part and 2 stories on part. We have 11 grandchildren, so I have to build it big enough for them to come over on the weekends. I have a big kitchen. I like to cook. So 2 stories.
All right. 2 stories. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none. Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer?
Yes.
And Mr. Najumian?
Yeah.
All right, let's move to resolution 24-1002.
A resolution accepting liability associated with closing of a state road for purposes of a parade.
So, for those of you in the audience, although it didn't say it, this is for Niceville's inaugural Veterans Day Parade. That said, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All right, so Miss Alley has the motion and Mr. Stoffer is the second. Discussion by the council.
How is this any different than when we closed the parade in December for our Christmas?
It's absolutely no different, sir.
Okay, so we've got a decade of doing this.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
It's the exact same route, exact same process.
That's what I thought. Thank you for clarifying.
And Alberta County controls the thing with the Christmas parade.
I was conferring with our esteemed council, which I will introduce a little bit later, but he was looking very close, attention to detail, and he says that this is referring to the Christmas parade.
Oh.
Which one is it really?
Is it Veterans Day or Christmas? It's Veterans Day.
So we need to amend that, that resolution. I'm pretty sure there's one going to be coming real soon for a Christmas parade too, if I'm not mistaken. Can we do them at the same time?
Yes, sir. Of course.
Why don't we just got to make sure we get the dates correct. But yes, we will amend it to reflect both the Veterans and the Christmas Day Parade. Those who made the motion, are you good with that?
Yes.
And the second, Mr. Stoffer, you good with that?
Yes.
Or Mr. Donahue, I'm sorry. Good with it? All right.
Well, I think it
You
was
and
that
me.
guy.
Okay, well then, Ms. Alley, are you good with that?
I'm good.
All right, thank you. All right, so we will amend that resolution to reflect both the Veterans Day and the Christmas Parade. And with that said, is there anybody in the audience that likes to come before the council to talk on this issue?
What's the date of the next council meeting? We can't do it. The parade's before the next council meeting.
That's true, it's on the 9th, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well,
What's the question? Can we not verbally amend it right now? You're getting approval, right?
Right, just amend the resolution.
Right. So that's all we gotta do, is just amend it based on what we just said, and then that is to reflect veterans and Christmas parade. All right. Okay. That's good. Anybody have any questions?
We need to update to the veteran statement.
He's gonna do that, he'll take care of that. All right. No other questions? Mr. Najumian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Stopper?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
Yes,
And Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
All right. Resolution 24-10-03.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Niceville, Florida, adopting the National Institute of Standards and Technology Cybersecurity Framework 2.0 standards for cybersecurity, providing for compliance with Florida Statute 282.3185, and providing for an effective date.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Donahue. All right. Do you have anybody who wants to speak on this issue before I ask the council if they have any questions? Or just...
Council, I'll just speak to this one real quick. This resolution is required to be in compliance with the statute that's excuse me, cited, and to show that we, the city of Niceville, put cybersecurity at the forefront. It's important to us. And again, this is just one of the requirements required by the statute to show that we are acting in compliance with the law.
Thank you. Any questions by the council? Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none. Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
yes,
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Stopper? Yes. And Mr. Najumian?
Yes.
All right. Let's move down to Resolution 24-10-04.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Niceville, Florida, adopting the revised and updated debris management plan and providing for an effective date.
Do I have a motion to approve?
so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Donahue. Do you have somebody that wants to address this one?
I'm going to speak to this one, sir.
Okay.
Because Bill was not available tonight. The debris management plan is the contract we have in place in the event of a natural disaster. This company comes in, we call them in, and they clean up the mess. It's part of our FROC application with the state of Florida to prepare us for natural disasters. This document is required both for us, so we can actually get the city cleaned up, but also a state requirement under their, FEMA and state requirements.
Questions by the council?
How long, if they're, do they have an end date on the contract? I'm assuming we're gonna continue a contract with them. And do they have an end date? Is it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years?
So the original contract, the end date was January of 2025. With Mr. Dykes taking over, we were able to sign, add a new city manager to our team. We were able to sign a 1-year extension through 2026. After 2026, when that's up, then we will return, more than likely piggyback off of Lucid County, who most recently signed a contract with DRC, which is debris removal company.
Thank you. So it's a 1-year extension.
So we're good until January of 26.
Other questions? Would anybody else like to come before the council on this issue? Come forward, please state your name and address for the record.
Doug Tolbert, 709 Willow Creek Run. Just for clarity, who's the contract with?
Debris removal company.
DRC debris removal company. Thanks.
All right. Any other questions by the council? All right. Mr. Najumian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Stopper?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
Yes,
And Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
All right, let's move down to Resolution 24-10-05.
A resolution of the City of Niceville, Florida, appointing a city council member to serve a 2-year term on the Emergency Management Authority, appointing the city manager as authority director, and approve the 2024 Emergency Operation Plan.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Stoffer. Discussion by the council.
Yeah, I have a question. How are we going to appoint a city council member? Is it going to be among the 5 of us, or does it include the mayor? And what happens if that one person for a 2-year term is not available when an emergency comes up?
We will reappoint someone new, sir.
Is there anything that would preclude from having a primary and an alternate?
I don't know, sir, but what I would propose is we just, the council takes action on this, and in the event that in a year's time or in 6 months' time, if that member who was appointed is no longer on the council, then we do this again. These documents, again, are required for the FROC process for the state of Florida. All 3 of these actions in this resolution are efforts to complete that process. It was a very, very comprehensive and time-consuming process to get all the FROC paperwork done. But again, once we're done, we're going to be very well positioned in the event we are hit with a hurricane. And so the city charter has an emergency management authority identified in the charter. It lists as a council member as a member of that authority.
I think the question Mr. Schatzel raised, whether or not that would include the mayor, I specifically talked to Phil about that particular issue, and it says council, doesn't say mayor, but his interpretation, and whether or not everybody's interpretation is the same, is that could include the mayor since I'm involved.
Okay.
I'll defer to Steve, but if words matter, and if the charter says council, then I would suggest that it's the council.
Your call.
I'm not going to shoot from the hip on that one. Let me take a quick look.
Sounds good. All right. Do we need an action tonight?
Yes, sir, we do, because we have to have this all done to the state of Florida by the end of the month.
Mayor, and council, I'd like to make a recommendation then, because we know we have 2 people leaving council in March, that whoever's the mayor pro temp in that fiscal year would be the person that is designated to serve in this position. And if they're not the mayor pro temp the following year, then the new mayor pro temp would be designated to serve in that position.
And that would be fine, because we have to update our documents with the state of Florida every year anyway.
That'd be a reasonable amendment that would solve
Sounds
the
good.
primary question.
All right. Everybody, the council has spoken and said that that would be reasonable. Any discussion?
So we need to make a motion to amend this,
Yes.
who made the original motion?
You made the initial motion.
Yeah, I'm sure I did.
Yeah. So
So I would propose that, I guess we could retract it and then make the new motion, then the second would retract it.
yeah, I'm going to ask the second first here. Second was,
I'll retract.
okay.
Okay. So I make the motion that for this resolution, 24-10-05, that the designated or the mayor pro temp for the fiscal year serve in the position to satisfy emergency management authority.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Stoffer. Discussion by the council. Mr. Najoumian, you have any questions, comments?
No, I
All right.
like the idea.
Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none. Mr. Schatzel,
Yes.
Ms. Alley,
Yes.
Mr. Donahue.
Yes.
And Mr. Stoffer,
Yes.
and Mr. Najoumian.
Yes.
All righty. Let's move down to resolution 2410-06.
Finally, a resolution of the City of Niceville recognizing Florida City Government Week, October 21st through the 27th, 2024, as Florida City Government Week by joining cities throughout the state in celebrating Florida City Government Week and encouraging all citizens to support the celebration and corresponding activities.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And second. Discussion by the council? Seeing none, anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none. Mr. Najumian, how do you vote?
Yeah.
Mr. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Ms. Alley?
Yes.
And Mr. Shazel.
Yes.
All right, let's move down to the city manager reports, requests, and recommendations.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I've got 3 things for you tonight, Council. Number 1, with regards to the reuse pipeline, as I mentioned, I think we got the easement from the Air Force finally, and we should see the state of Florida grant by the end of the week finally. All of our contractors are lined up and ready to go, and we have the materials list has been approved, and so we're just waiting on that grant documentation. And then once we sign that, we'll be able to order the materials, and hopefully we'll be able to break ground on that project in the next couple of months. I also want to remind council and the residents, Meigs Park groundbreaking ceremony, October 16th at 10 a.m. at Meigs Park. Commissioner Ponder and Councilwoman Alley will be guest speakers at the groundbreaking ceremony.
You didn't tell me that.
I just did. Surprise. And then, as was mentioned earlier, we have our inaugural Veterans Day Parade, November 9th at 10 a.m. It's shaping up to be a really good parade, so please everybody come out and enjoy. And with that, Chief Hayes, you want to start us off?
Mr. Mayor, Council. So report for September 2024. During the month of September, the Niceville Police Department responded to 2,410 calls for service, police assistance. Breakdown was 30 traffic crashes were written. That involved 57 vehicles and 1 pedestrian. Estimated cost, $263,400. We had 145 traffic citations, 180 traffic warnings were given, 14 misdemeanor arrests, 14 felony arrests, 4 DUIs. And in addition, I'd just like to tell you a little bit about what's going on with a few initiatives at the police department that we recently started and or completed. We did create a community policing unit with a dedicated officer at this time, which I hope to increase in the near future. It's going to help increase community involvement, community partnerships and engagements. Our department drone program is up and flying. We have 5 certified drone pilots. We're excited about that. Our school resource officer program has increased to 3 officers when we took on St. Paul's. That's been going well. And the Marine unit that we're combined with the fire department, we just completed their first training. Looking forward to that.
Is that all I got?
That's it.
Well, I'm going to let the council ask some questions, and then we're going to officially introduce you again. How's that?
Okay.
Questions by the council?
You don't want to ask them if any drug overdoses?
And Mr. Najumian, do you want to ask any questions?
I have no questions at this time. Thank you.
I'll say something. So I was over in Fort Walton, and they're real upset that we stole you, just so you know.
I'll take it as a compliment.
But aren't you glad you're in Niceville, not Fort Walton Beach?
Yeah. I'm loyal to the brand I ride for.
Because the city council of Niceville is much nicer.
Well, to our audience, if you haven't already met him, Chief Mark Hayes comes to us from Fort Walton Beach, but he has years of experience in other areas as well. And we're excited to have him, and he has been dynamite since he's been here. And I think that you see the positive aspects coming out with our force and the men and women who support our force. They're very excited, and we're excited to have him as well. So thank you, Chief, and welcome aboard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am very glad and honored to be here, and I appreciate the appointment, and I'll do my very best for you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
Do you have a canine dog on service again?
We do.
Okay.
Cody. Yeah, Cody.
Pull that mic closer.
Which is ranked number 5 in the nation for narcotics detection.
So maybe one night you could bring him to a city council meeting so we could beat him.
I'll be happy to.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, Chief Mack.
Council, Mayor, Mr. Deitch, I'm here on behalf of the fire department and for Chief Mayville. During September of this year, the Niceville Fire Department ran 172 calls with 0 overdose calls. We had 19 fire inspections that were conducted this month, 8 passes, 11 fails, and 10 of them were re-inspected and then passed for a total of 29 inspections this month. Final inspections were completed for Express Oil Change and Rock and Roll Sushi. The station administration has started gathering data, which is a first step towards accreditation. We're planning on trying to do some type of community outreach program, hopefully at the end of this month, to continue that process. Crew members have attended Niceville High School varsity games this year, this last month, including the homecoming parade and the game as well. Crew members deployed to Tallahassee. They already came back and made it back safely, and they are deploying again after landfall on Thursday. All crew members also are currently actively working on certifications and continuing education. And that is it.
Questions by the council? Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it much.
Jonathan.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Mr. Deitch. First of all, I'd like to welcome Mr. Steve Hall and James Walters again to our team. It's a pleasure on behalf of Public Works. The relocation of the water line on Johnson's Parkway is complete. Crews are out tying it in this week at Tenrack Avenue to eliminate the water line on the Johnson's Parkway. The bypass pump at lift station 7 is set and ready for piping, which will begin next week. We have submitted for our new 5-year potable water daily usage permit to the Water Management District. We did last month do a letter modification for another 100,000 gallons of water, so we submitted this new application for 3.1 million a day instead of 3 million. We had 46 water calls, 27 sewer calls, 13 water taps, 6 sewer taps, 473 line spots, changed out 18 meters, and we completed 383 service orders. We have started to repair the drainage issue on Evans Street, crossing Turkey Creek. We have head walls repair on Jones Avenue where materials have been ordered and are here. Our drainage issue on Maple Avenue is complete. Drainage issue on Juniper Avenue is complete. Drainage issue on Bayshore Drive is complete. I've been talking with Okaloosa County Corrections, and I'm hoping within the next 3 or 4 months we will have guards back with crews and not sending our own guy there to get 5 guys. I'm hoping to have 16 inmates hopefully by the first of the year. We have finished our paving projects throughout the city this year. We have paved 8 roads throughout the city. The most recent being Cedar Avenue from Parton Drive to College Boulevard. Hill Lane, I met yesterday with our engineers and Mr. James Walters, our purchasing director. So hopefully in the next couple of months, hopefully a month or 2, we'll be coming to you with a bid. So we're hopefully put that bid together and hopefully get that roadway extension started by the first of the year on Hill Lane. The sidewalks, we're working with our engineers on a multi-use path starting down at Bayshore Drive, working back north toward Highway 20. We have some deteriorating spots on the walk trail down on Bayshore Drive between Swift Creek Court and Wheaton Island. So we'll be replacing about 600 foot of the walk trail in the next couple of weeks. We'll be upgrading the intersections of Nathy Street, Palmetto Avenue, Nathy Street, Niceville Avenue for the safety of our students around Edge Elementary. Myself and Chief Hayes and Captain Whitfield, our street department team met over yesterday with an update crosswalk, stop signs. It's in bad shape. The library landscape project is complete. Our parks team will be spreading new pine straw around City Hall in preparation to start the beautiful scenery for Christmas, which will be starting around the 1st of November, and led by the great Lynn Walkers. We'll be pouring the slab tomorrow for the new mini stores, 60 yards of concrete up here at the skate park for our new mini stores, which will save the city money on rental fees that we're currently having to make. So if y'all get bored at 6 a.m. in the morning, I'll see y'all there. We have coordinated with FPL for tree trimming around power lines on the lower end of town. 21st Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street, but currently on 20th, they did 27th today. Had numerous calls down in that area, so thank you to Kristen Howe for helping me with that. So we have made contact with them, they made contact with homeowners, so try to avoid the area with traffic if you can, and we'll be crews down there trimming limbs away from power lines. Code compliance, 32 cases this month, 23 closed. Had 15 excessive growths, tall grass and weeds. 12 vehicle violations of parking the right of way and non-plated vehicles. And 5 illegal dumping and accumulation of trash. So those guys, Ross and Brian, are up and running and doing a great job. Hurricane Helene, we had skeleton crews here. I think all of them are here in the back and come in and helped out. Really appreciate them as always. And last but not least, can Nick Hunt come up, please? So this is the favorite time of my night, employee spotlight, getting to recognize these great workers we have in public works. And Nick's been with us for 17 years. He's one of them guys that comes in, busts his tail. He's always there when you need him, after hours, it don't matter. He's there to help you, never bitches, just does his job. And I want to commend Nick, 17 years of service. I really appreciate you.
Good job, Nick.
So, with that being said, I want to personally thank my whole public works team, day in and day out, working hard, chopping wood, for these great citizens of Niceville. We're 20 people short. I really appreciate them, and that means a lot.
All right, before you walk away, council, you have any questions for Mr. Laird?
Not a question, but I thank you for Valpy Boulevard. Valpy Boulevard, the cleanup was just tremendous, so it really looks good. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? If not, I do have some. So, there's a lighting issue that some folks have brought to our attention, referencing over by the high school and the crossover from the school then over to the practice fields and stuff. Where do we stand on that?
I've already talked to FPL. They're in the process of doing a feasibility study, fixing the light that's on the pole south of the crosswalk and adding 2 more lights.
Great, thank you. And any updates on revitalizing the skate park?
No, that's right now.
Okay. And I appreciate all that you do. I just want you to know that I echo what's been said about our entire public works department. They are great. As is our police and fire. I want to thank you all for what you guys do on a daily basis.
Thank you.
And the other thing I want to do, since you brought up the reuse line and some other things, Mr. Deitch, you want to tell everybody the significance of the reuse line and our allotment of water on a daily basis or so?
Sure. So, as Jonathan said, we have a permit from the Northwest Water Management District for 3.1 million gallons of potable water use per day. We consistently blast through that limit just about every single day. And in the summertime, it's quite a bit. The reuse line is going out principally to Deer Moss Creek at this time because Deer Moss Creek is being built with purple pipe in the ground. Right now, the residents in that neighborhood are irrigating their lawns with potable water. And so that's one of the reasons we've had a huge spike in the use of potable water. Once we get that line built and get that neighborhood off of potable water, our potable water consumption will go down drastically.
Are we penalized for exceeding our consumption?
Not yet.
But the possibility's coming, right?
It's possibility is always there.
So that's why we got the 100,000 degree modification.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
You know, and then, you know, obviously as Niceville continues to grow, that challenge is only going to exacerbate. And so this line is very, very important to the residents of Niceville for you know, many, many years into the future.
Thank you. You got anything else, John?
That's it.
All right.
Mayor, I do want to follow up with the skate park. I think James told me a week or two ago we got some new ramps. I don't think they've been installed yet, but we do have new ramps to be installed at the skate park.
Yeah, if you recall back last year, or was it early this year, we had that group that came in and challenged us to fix it.
Yep.
So I'm just doing a follow-up because I've heard some other folks talk about it as well. Thanks.
Mayor, Mr. Rice?
I know there's quotes that Jim Bowman had on the resurfacing, so where he's at with James, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I talked with the vendor last week. They're actually scheduled to set up 2 weeks from now, like October 15th or October 17th to actually start work on that.
That's great. Good news. Thank you. What else you got, Mr. Deitch?
Sir, that's all I have. Well, I don't know, is anybody here from the library a lot? Who was doing that?
Well, we do have, we'll get to them in just a second, right?
I don't have anything more, man.
All right. Jonathan, I let you sit down too quick. In other business, there's something about a disaster management plan, and you're going to update us on that. Is that correct?
No, sir, we already covered it.
It's covered? All right, good. I can cross that one off. And then there's a 2025 library interlocal agreement that we need to approve. Is that correct?
Correct.
Do we have anything that we need to read or?
We actually sent it out to the council, but it's standard every year. And I understand we budgeted $170,000 for that process.
Okay. Do we need official approval from the council on this? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the 2025 library interlocal agreement?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And second. Discussion by the council. No questions? Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none. Mr. Najumi, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Ms. Alley?
Yes.
And Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
Next on the agenda is an update from White Hat Productions. Go ahead and let everybody know who you are, etc. Appreciate it.
Good evening, Matt McKinnon with White Hat Productions.
Charles Hossein, Anchor Smith Brinkley, attorney for White Hat Productions.
Mr. McKinnon, go ahead. You got the floor.
I just wanted to give I guess some transparency and some updates from Mr. Deitch because of the email that I received, and wanted to touch base with council and see what they thought.
So, Mr. Deitch, you have?
So the lease for the Twin Oaks Mullet Festival site is with GSA right now. Eglin let me know that this week. So, you know, a lease renewal is at least a 24-month process. It started before I came on. So we're somewhere in the middle of that process. I don't know where. But it was approved by one of the boards at Eglin, and it's at GSA now. And so it's still making its way through the wickets of the Air Force and the Department of Defense. I don't know, is it?
Well, I mean, what does the council need any updates on parking, on anything that we talked about last time, because that's what has come about. And I was talking to several councilmen, and that's some of the things that came about. So I wanted to get any questions that you guys have. I want to go ahead and get them answered so we can move on, because we were about to make the announcement for this. I've spent 3 months in Nashville working with these artists to do these videos to make the announcement. And now I can't make the announcement because I was told that was not, it hadn't been approved, so I pulled back on that.
So here's what, the last time that we talked about this, the council gave you directions that you had several tasks that you needed to respond before we give you approval. So we're waiting to find out, one was parking, and also how you were going to protect the fields from getting tore up and so forth. So we're waiting to hear some responses from you on how to take care of that and what your plan is before we give you any approvals.
Okay, so the fields I didn't know about, but the parking is done. So as much as I could do for right now without making an announcement.
What is the plan for parking?
So the plan, something that the Multifest never had before, they never had Uber and Lyft. And they never had these shuttles running through there. So we don't want a whole big congestion. So I was gonna get back with, I haven't met Chief Hayes yet, but I was gonna work with him because I met with Chief Popwell, gave me an outline of what should happen. But Uber and Lyft in shuttles are how this should be ran. This is how I do all the other festivals that I do. I'm working on, go ahead.
I understand, but where are the people gonna park that wanna run these shuttles?
That's what I'm saying. We're gonna have outside sources in, land, business, parking lots. I can't do anything with them just yet and sign an agreement with them until I can announce this because some of them are gonna be deposits they're gonna be looking for. So if I put a deposit down right now and I don't get this Multifest, then,
I can't speak for the council, but I'm pretty sure that they gave you direction to answer how you're gonna handle that before we made any announcements or made any approvals for the Malt Festival. What you're asking, it sounds like to me, is for us to go ahead and give you approval and trust that you got it resolved and without telling us what the details are.
the details are all in the package that I've been talking to Mr. Deitch about. I talked to him before to see if like he approved the approval of the parking plan. Because if there was any questions, we've had a lot of time to answer them, and I haven't gotten them. So if you guys need to get this packet, I'll be more than happy to get it to you. I'll be more than happy to get it to Chris with Midbay News. You can publish it all around, and we can go from there.
Well, sir, what you gave me was a bunch of flyers and ideas. You suggested parking at the college and parking at Publix and parking at Walmart, but do you have agreements with any of those property owners?
We have a lot of agreements won't come until I have a contract. I'm not gonna do any of this. I mean, who does this without a contract? I can't go to these people.
Nobody, when we don't have that either.
Well, I mean, that's what it says. I'll let him speak to the contract, because that's been around for almost 3 months now.
I have never seen a contract, never.
I'm gonna give it to my counsel, let him talk to
The
him.
contract was submitted to Dixie on July 30th. He's got that contract, and I've spoken to him multiple times, sent emails asking him, obviously, I can't speak to you directly.
No, sir, but you could send it to me.
No, I can't ethically, because you're represented by him, so I
Strauss.
send it directly to Dixie.
Strauss, new sheriff in town.
Oh, sorry.
Get it to me,
Yes, sir.
we'll
Yes.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I think we're a couple of steps away from where you hope to be. And now that I'm in the circle, you talk to me right away.
Okay.
And I'll give you an assessment about it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hall.
There's a lot of stuff that we have, I have. I didn't spend a year working on this and not have any answers for you guys. This is not how I work. I'm working on a $4 million event for Super Bowl, so I do this by the book. So whatever you guys need, you will have.
Council, you have any questions?
I,
Let me take Mr. Najumian first, and then I'll take you, Mr. Schatzel. Mr. Najumian, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry for cutting you off, Bill. I can't, unfortunately, being geographically separated. Matt, I appreciate the call the other day. You've referenced a number of times all these other events that you do. Can you give us names of people you've worked with, or some recommendations or whatever? I've Googled you, and I can't find anything. I can't find anything.
I have partners.
I can't find anything on a LinkedIn profile. In fact, as of today, you don't even have a business license in Florida, because I'm looking at it right now, and it says that you are dissolved due to not filing an annual report.
Emerald Coast Entertainment Group is, did you look that? That's what we switch from
I'm
White
looking
Hat.
at White House, I'm looking at White Hat Productions
If you
LLC.
at the last one, you remember that we switched from White Hat Productions, and we're going with Emerald Coast Entertainment Group. I wanted something local because I was here now. So that's what, if you remember that, that's what happened. So if you go ahead and Google that, you'll see what you need. Emerald Coast Entertainment Group.
Productions, Entertainment Group.
And let's speak on some of my past. So if you need that, and I'll get you all the appropriate companies that I've worked with, so you'll know that what I've done with the NFL, with the NBA, with the Grammys, with the Super Bowl, with Kentucky Derby, with the Masters. My resume is definitely not to be played.
Yeah, we saw your resume, you have that in an original package.
Yes.
We're talking about a contractual arrangement, and we're talking about a relationship. And we're talking about ensuring that we're going to go down the road with an organization, we need to understand the full breadth of that organization. It's not an indictment on you standing in front of us.
You know, I've worked with several companies. When you're doing the events that I do, you work with several companies. You don't work with just one. So if you need those, I have no problem. Once again, being very transparent to the council. I will also get it to Chris with Midway News so he can publish it. What else do you need?
Sal, you have any more questions?
No, I'm glad to get clarification that it's not White House or White Hat anymore, because everything on our agenda and everything else continues to carry that nomenclature, and it's not linked to anything.
Yeah.
So now with Emerald Coast Entertainment Group, at least there's something to look for.
I think when you look in the paper that even Midway News published, they'll tell you it was that we went to Emerald Coast Entertainment Group. We want something local. We want it to be local, so that's why all the events that we do are underneath that umbrella.
Yeah, I appreciate the clarification there.
Well,
Matt, I'm going to go back a couple months when you, maybe the first or second time you came before us, and one of the concerns was that our city manager at that time didn't know what you were asking for. Have you satisfied him in what you're asking for support from the city?
yes. Mr. Dykes, have we satisfied that we were not asking the city for any money, anything other than maybe a consultant, which, because we know, Larry didn't have time to do this, so we have gotten our own, people just need consultants. Just consultants, hey, where's this generator for our team, or something like that. But we don't need money or anything like that from the city. We're not asking.
And no manpower? No traffic,
We're gonna get with,
no fire department support or anything like
We've
that?
already talked to EMS, and we already talked to, so the fire department said we can't talk to them until we get that clearance from Mr. Package. I've already talked to Chief Potwell, but now that Chief Hayes has taken over, I would love to sit down with him and get his thoughts. We will have our own security, but yet we still would like to hire, some local policemen, because it just makes sense for that. But we want to do it and not limit his resources so they can't go out and do other things that happen in the city. So we want to make sure, he said, hey, I have 4 or 5 officers for you, and we make sure that we cover the rest of our security.
That's the only question I have.
Any other questions from council? Go ahead, Ms. Allen.
So my concern is we're spending quite a bit of money to fix the soccer fields out there so that in the fall we have all kinds of soccer games going on in those fields out there. And, prior events, multi-festival events tore up those fields. And so what kind of reassurance can you give us about those fields?
The only thing that we know that we can't park and use those in, I think that's what the council suggested before. So we would have security blocking all that. So we just have to have a different route into the Mullet Festival. But we were told not to be, we can't use those fields. If am I correct on that?
You are correct.
Yes.
And so where are you going to put the carnival?
It's not on the softball field, it's where it's always been, where the stage is.
Okay. And you're going to put the music there as well?
Isn't that where the
The
stage is?
crowd?
Is that where the crowd is? Is that where it's always been?
I don't know, I've never been to a mullet festival.
That's what I think, that's what I think we need to do a walkthrough so you can see.
There's no power out there?
I think I want to sit down, you know, if I can talk to any of the councilmen or any city council, get educated on this. Because if you've never done one, and especially of this size, it is hard for you to fathom what I do and how I do it. But I would love to educate everybody on it.
So let me make this suggestion as previously stated by our attorney. Go ahead and get all that documentation to him, let him look through it and so forth. You know, our concerns are, and I still don't have a good answer, our concerns were, number one, how are you going to handle the parking situation? How are you going to protect those fields, number two? And number three, what kind of support were you going to request or need from the city? And again, you kind of answered that one saying that you really don't need any support from the city other than maybe hiring a few of the police officers as a additional contract for them to provide some support.
EMS.
Yeah, and EMS, you say? And EMS? So those are the biggies, and I know you want to get out there, and I know you've said you've done a lot of coordinating, but you know, until we have specifics, it's hard for us to say, yeah, go forth and yay verily, because the last thing that we want to have happen is a disaster. Okay, a disaster in the sense of people are parking everywhere, creating major problems with movement of traffic, etc. Our fields getting tore up, etc.
And then, Mayor, we're going to have a website. So we wanted to get things promoted now, so that way people can start getting in a habit of going to the website, seeing where the parking locations are, because it's going to be in real time. If that parking lot is full, it will say full. You could be right on your phone. You could scan all the QR codes that's going to be around and see what parking lots are open, what's available. That's what we want to make. We want to make this as easy as possible for the guests that are going to come out.
Okay.
Matt, have you talked to any of these property owners? Because I know you haven't talked to the college.
I can't talk to the college now because we're waiting on the new person to come in. So, but I did talk to the previous one. He was all for it, but now we have an interim, and she's not going to move on anything until the new ones come in. So I will do that. But I have talked to a lot of businesses, a lot of landowners, and we're going to move forward as soon as I have something in place. And I want to satisfy the council first, and then once I'm able to move forward, council will be updated every month, as well as you, the city manager. And we can just kind of keep moving forward until this happens. You'll be updated on every move, and if there's a question or concern along the way, then we recognize it and we try to correct it.
Well, again, I've got, in addition to the ones the mayor listed, one, we don't have a contract, two, we don't have a lease, and three, there's no power at the Mullet Festival site.
That's what generators are for.
So,
That's fine.
Hey, David, do we resolve the alcohol on federal lands issue yet?
no, sir, not yet. It's going to be addressed in the renewed lease.
So that's baked in there?
Yes, sir, it will be.
All right, and I had spoken to Matt offline, and Matt, you had talked about potentially hosting a dry event if the alcohol thing could be resolved, correct?
Exactly. If the council says that's the route that we have to go, and that's the only way we have, I'm, 100% for it. If it cuts into my sponsorship, but, this is not about me. The community wants this, and this is what I'm here for.
I just want to make one other comment. The other thing that, about the Mullet Festival is that the cars park in herds of 85, all along the median, all along the road, because the parking has been such an issue for the Mullet Festival. So, I have huge concerns about people going to the Mullet Festival and getting there. And I don't think that we have an answer right now, because you're saying that we can't get an answer unless we have a contract. And so we're kind of at a standstill, and so I guess we're waiting for you to try to give us some guidance. And if we don't have a lease with Eglin, how can we commit to anything?
We can't. So, but by October 25, I am reasonably confident that we'll have a lease by then, but right now we don't have one.
So, you guys remember that we were going to do this year. It's just been hung in the next week.
Let me just say that you had talked about the possibility of doing something. We never agreed to this year, period. So,
Agreed, this was talked about, yeah, this was talked about this year, so things that were said was supposed to be, this was supposed to be handled, by now. Now, you guys want me to wait till, once again, you know, till that time, we get this, I mean, a whole another year for this military, I mean, does it take that long? I mean, I'm blind to this, but does it take a whole another year for this to get done when you've gotten past this?
Again, Matt, lease renewals with the Air Force and Department of Defense take generally 24 months, approximately. Now, again, I don't recall when the original submission was made, but, you know, I've been on the job 15 months, so, you know, assuming they did it on day one when I got here, which it wasn't the case, but we're at least 15 months deep into a 24-month timeline.
Okay, so I just need updates on that.
so I know that Mr. Mr. Stoffer has a question, so.
Yes. So the White House Productions, the
White Hat.
White Hat, Emerald Coast Entertainment Group, how long has that been going? I'm on your website.
Yeah, Emerald Coast Entertainment Group just came about, and in July, I think, we changed.
July
it
of this
June.
year?
Yeah, June, July, we switched it over because our partners and I wanted to come together, so that's the company that we wanted to do all this stuff that we're doing in Okaloosa County underneath that one umbrella.
So you say meet your partners, but I don't see it on here. Let me ask you this. Sal asked for references. Can you make that a priority?
Sure.
References of people that you've worked with in the past. And then, so the White Hat doesn't exist anymore? Or
No, not really, because that was a single company. Now we're under one, because I have two other partners, and that's under Emerald Coast Entertainment Group. So everything was changing. We just have a new contract.
Okay.
Anything you want to know from this point on, it will be under Emerald Coast Entertainment.
As it stands right now, it appears we've got a lot of questions that are unanswered, and I'm pretty sure that the council is not willing to give you the go-ahead, but I would recommend that you follow up by giving our city attorney all the documents that you have and let him take a look at those.
Yes, it's been around since July, so we'll definitely get that to you by tomorrow, tonight.
I didn't know, Mr. Hall, you were the council. I've been dealing with the Dixie all the time.
And there's no reason you would. This is my first meeting.
Oh, there you go.
But we have a good relationship. I've
Yes, sir.
talked to you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And everything else you guys need, we'll have it done for you
All right.
by tomorrow. Thank you. Chris?
Next item is it's time to appoint a mayor pro tem. So we've got a couple of individuals who are rolling off. I'm pretty sure that would be a waste of time to appoint one of those two. But we have the opportunity to nominate somebody, and so I will open it up now for nominations.
Well, I'm going to talk first. I was going to say that I'd like to have it, but I don't want to have to take the emergency management piece of that. So I'm going to take my name out of the hat.
And my thoughts were that I wanted to share that I am the current mayor pro tem. And if I will put my name in the hat.
I support Mr. Schatzel.
Are there any other nominations?
I second it.
All in favor?
All in favor? All right, looks like Mr. Schatzel, you are the mayor pro tem again for 2025.
And also the city council member on the emergency management, backing Mr. Deitz up, or partnering with Mr. Deitz.
That's correct.
We look forward to a calm year.
There you go. Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Okay, it looks like it's unanimous. We get to pay the bills again. I will start off with Mr. Najumi. Do you have anything that you want to pass along to us?
Nothing, I can't wait for the next meeting. Thanks.
All right. Mr. Stoffer, how about you?
I do not.
Mr. Donahue?
No, sir.
Ms. Alley?
Please get out and vote.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Shassel.
Yeah. David, this is for you. I don't know if you mentioned it. If you did, I missed it. Have we gotten any requests, at least standby requests to support Hurricane Milton?
Yes, sir. The fire department's heading down on Thursday.
And they're going to Tallahassee?
Tampa.
Tampa. Okay, thank you for that. Second thing I have is, I was approached by a resident who lives off of Cedar Avenue, North Cedar Avenue, and maybe other people who travel North Cedar Avenue as you go to the College Boulevard. We're having the dorms built up there in the Northwest Florida State College, and there's only one traffic light close to the dorms, but there's no other traffic light up there from exiting the college. And I'm wondering whether it is appropriate and for safety reasons to have a traffic light, or at least a study being done at North Cedar and College Boulevard, so that Cedar Avenue has a safe way out, and that the college residents or students or staff can also get out in the traffic safely.
So, sir, that's a county road, and so the county, you want to, as I recall, and Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong, Jonathan and I met with the county months ago, and they are considering putting traffic circles in 2 different spots on College Boulevard, one of which is at Cedar. But no, there was no plans at this time to put lights there. And while they have visions of putting traffic circles at 2 different spots on College, there is no money to do that at this time. So I don't think there.
Dave, if I could add, just from a development perspective, they would have had to run their development plans through the county, and it would kick into what's called a traffic impact study. And they would have used the load capacity based on that development to see if it triggered a light. You couldn't have advanced that development if it in fact triggered a light, not putting a light in there. So as much as people are potentially concerned about it, from a traffic impact study perspective, it's below the threshold.
There's just not enough traffic on College right now, even with, like Councilman Najimy said, there's not enough traffic on College to justify lights and traffic circles and everything else.
Okay. Hopefully, we will never experience the ultimate, having that accident or fatal accident because of lack of traffic control.
But again, if I heard correctly, the reminder is the College is a county road, so maybe their best bet would be to take this to the county.
Correct.
Well, is there any way that I would suspect that it would be our safety department or our police department would coordinate with the Northwest Florida State College, the equivalent department within that college, and then they approach the county on it? If you get the college buy-in on it?
Sir, we can certainly do that. I haven't given it a second thought until you brought it up, but we could certainly explore options to ask the county to take a look at that again.
Thank you. I think it's worth it.
Yes.
All right, any other questions? Comments? All right, I'm going to take a moment. Up here to my left, your right, is the new city attorney, Mr. Steve Hall. We are excited to have him on board, and I want you to know sincerely from me and the rest of the council and the city staff that we really appreciate having you, and welcome. Got anything you want to say?
Great to be here.
All right. All right. With that said, I will open it up. Anybody in the audience like to come before the council to speak on an issue? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record. How's it going, Marianne?
Great.
Good.
Mayor, City Council, Mr. Deitch, my name is Carrie Ann Herring, my husband Eddie, and together we are founders and co-directors of Niceville Strong, which is a 501c3 organization And our mission is to unite our community by addressing issues such as drug and alcohol addiction, mental illness, violence, and suicide. Our vision is to perpetuate a movement beginning in Niceville and growing to other communities by providing awareness, resources, and hope needed to combat these life control issues. You guys have heard from us before. We started this organization back in 2017. So we're about to have our 7th community prayer rally on October 13th. So this is an official invitation to all of you. We're reaching out to extend a heartfelt invitation to all of our city council members, our city workers, our new chief, our firemen, all of our staff. We would love for you to join us this Sunday, actually, October 13th at 6 o'clock in the Niceville High School auditorium. This annual event continues to bring together community leaders and concerned citizens for a night of prayer, praise, worship, as well as speakers from our high school, our churches, and our local community. There will be a dedicated time of prayer for our civic leaders, for our police officers, and for our first responders. And Eddie and I are graduates of Auburn, so near and dear to our hearts, we're going to have Chet Williams, who is the Auburn University football chaplain, there to speak as our guest speaker. So we would like to just invite you. We want to pray for you, and we ask that as many of you as possible join us in a spirit of communal support. Your presence will serve both as a source of inspiration as well as symbolize our collective commitment to address these challenges together. And if you haven't already been on our website, you can go to nicevillestrong.com, and you also can reach us with any questions that you might have on nicevillestrong@gmail.com.
Harry Ann, Eddie, thank you so much. Any questions by the council? We are looking forward to it. You guys have done a tremendous job with this. This will be your 7th annual. This is awesome. And I want to commend you for what you are doing to make our community better and safer. All right, thank you. Would anybody else like to come forward? Anybody else, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Wait a minute, you look like a very familiar face, but we'll make you say it again.
Tim McCool, 2181 Chase Drive, Knoxville, Florida. So we were approached last week for a hurricane relief drive. So I own a couple businesses in town, one being Third Planet Brewing. It's called Come to the Table. It's put together by young lady Kim Massino, who owns Kim Massino Mental Health Services, along with the Special Forces Foundation Trust, along with JoJo's. They had a collection point last week at JoJo's. We're going to do it this week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's all hurricane relief water. We'll have it on our social media and our website tomorrow. The collections are Friday from 3 to 8, Saturday from 12 to 4, and Sunday from 12 to 4. Originally, all the materials were going to go to the North Carolina area, up through in that area. Since then, though, with the Tampa situation now, there'll be a decision date to where all the items go to, though. But we'd like to, get the word out, and we'll be collecting stuff there. A lot of people out there helping make it a reality and provide supplies to people that need it in those areas.
What kind of supplies, Tim?
There were all sorts: water, 5-gallon jerry cans, children's diapers, books, coloring books, reflective vests, flashlights, solar lights, chainsaws, spare chains, fuel cans, pillows, cots, sleeping blankets, anything you can imagine that these people are without. Especially, I saw something up in North Carolina. There's areas up there where the roads are washed out, and there's helicopters that are trying to get in there. FEMA can't get in, but it's pretty decimated. So anything and everything, baby diapers, etc.
Well, let me, once again, Tim, thank you and all those who are sponsoring and part of this effort. This, and I've said this many times, this is one of the reasons why Niceville is such a great place to live, work, and play. We have great citizens who are very much involved, who care about not only their community, they care about their state, and they care about their nation, and I want to thank you again.
Yeah, you're welcome. And like I said, we didn't actually put it together. It was put together by a lot of different organizations, but we're fortunate enough where we can host things like this and provide that opportunity to provide back to the community.
Thank you.
What date did you say that was?
this week?
This week, we're gonna collect it on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 4 to 8, I think 3 to 8, something like that. Three at Third Pine? At Third Pine, yes, sir.
Would anybody else like to come before the council? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.
Thank you.